Did Trump decide to go to war, or is there something else that drives war? Is he the spokesman or the author? Because no matter the president, we seem to always have war. And to have a president that comes and says, no more wars, no more Middle Eastern wars, and then starts one of the biggest Middle Eastern wars, the question becomes, who is setting the direction for those wars?
You have an American empire that, in Iran's case, for 47 years, has been desperate to right the wrong of 1979, to recreate the order of what existed, to take away this usurpation. You have the reality of America as an empire, the need to constantly either, if not expanding the empire, then certainly sustaining it. You have the reality that nearly all foreign policy experts, practitioners, members of the establishment in Washington, D.C., are adherents to or acolytes of Henry Kissinger or Zygmunt Brzezinski and the idea that the world is a grand chessboard. You go back to the Obama administration. Obama certainly had heavy pressure to attack Iran. He didn't do it. But what did he do instead? We had this war in Syria that killed 500,000 people. You had the United States essentially allied with Al-Qaeda and Daesh, with the Islamic State. And what was the justification for it? It was because that removing Assad from power would weaken Iran. So whereas you might have had a president like Obama who refused to go to war against Iran, who actually entered into the nuclear agreement, the JCPOA of 2015, you also had that same administration was willing to see 500,000 people be slaughtered in Syria, not for the sake of the Syrian people, but because somehow on this grand chessboard, removing Assad from power would weaken Iran. So this structure has been there. It's just that you have a president like Donald Trump who was willing to do something so reckless and stupid and counterproductive that a Bush and Obama and a Biden wouldn't do. And let's remember that Bush did Iraq. Obama massively escalated the Afghan war, right? And of course, you can't take away the Israeli influence in all of this as well. There's the military-industrial complex itself. There's the reality of how think tanks are funded, campaigns are funded in Washington, D.C. It's very difficult to get a job in Washington, D.C. in foreign policy if you've not been vetted and approved by the military-industrial complex. So if you haven't come through some avenue, whether it's the schools like Harvard or Yale or Georgetown or Stanford, that clearly align with a certain American imperial vision, an American worldview, that adhere to American exceptionalism, or you are at a think tank that's funded by the weapons industry, of which dozens in Washington, D.C. are, that's important because about 7 or 8 out of 10 briefings in Congress are conducted by those think tanks. So when American members of Congress get briefings on Iran or China or Mozambique or wherever, it's not by the State Department, it's not by the Department of Defense or by the CIA. 3/4 of the time, it's by think tanks that are funded by the military-industrial complex.